Anyone who knows me knows that I am an extreme person. I have opinions that are not so easily swayed, and once I make my mind up about something, it can be quite difficult to dissuade me from my predetermined views. This is something my dear husband Pablo likes to challenge me with. He likes to just push my buttons, and he really knows how to push them. We have heated discussions, debates, and thought battles over a multitude of topics. Luckily, however, we almost always seem to agree on the things that really matter, hence why we come out on the other side stronger. I like to believe. And so we came up with this not-so-original idea to read bad reviews of some of my favorite books, just to see if these reviews can somehow change my viewpoint on these titles. I highly doubt they will, but I'm always game to challenge opposing viewpoints as a form of sport dialogue. What? Pablo has scoured the internet for these bad reviews of my favorite books and will present them to me now. I will then try my best to guess which books the review is about. I did hear him giggling while putting these together, and he has forewarned me that I will be very riled. So, without further ado, let's get started. I am not excited. I just really, really hate when people bash something I like, because then I think, oh, you just didn't get it. I take it very personally, even though I know it has nothing to do with me. It's irrational. Perhaps that's my toxic trait. Oh god, the comments on this video might be brutal. Alright, let's go ahead and do the thing.
Okay, so in front of you, you have a few long reviews. We have short reviews of the same book. I did not necessarily pick the smartest arguments.
Okay.
I think I more so went for something that will get a reaction from you.
I wish you were next to me.
And I would say read them aloud, and then we'll go from there.
I don't want to. 1 out of 5 stars. Rambling and over-descriptive, lots of words with zero substance. I'd love to rate the story itself, but even after powering through 70+ pages of excessive prose that waxed on about every useless detail of every environment, the story still hadn't begun. If you like stories that put you in immediately sorry.
Another thing, if you see grammatical errors, those are straight from the reviewers. But stuff in brackets means that I either took stuff out to not make it obvious what it is.
Redacted, yeah.
Redacted information, or like, for example, later you'll see the main character thing. Yeah, so I'm taking out names, stuff like that.
Okay. If you like stories that pull you in immediately, this one isn't for you. It uses 5 pages where one will do, and once you put it down, it's hard to pick it up again. It sort of gives the vibe that it's trying to be deep and make some kind of statement, but it doesn't really accomplish either goal. That's not much color or vibrancy to the writing. Main character is nothing more than a flavorless vehicle to push a disjointed story, and there's no build-up or urgency to keep the reader intrigued. Even my usual undying need to finish every book I start couldn't power me through this, and I'm sorry I paid full price for it. Whoa. I'm sorry I paid full price for it.
Do you have any idea what you might be talking about?
The prose tells me that it might be Addie LaRue. Am I wrong?
No comment.
No comment. Should I read all of them?
Yeah.
One of the most anticlimactic books I've read in a long time. I'm currently at 70% with this book, and the monotony is killing me. I am waiting for a big grab-me-in part, and it's just not there. It's slow, the characters have no depth. One of the most anticlimactic books I've read in a long time. I still think it's either. Redundant, boring, and a waste of money. I am a high school English teacher, and I wouldn't let my students be as repetitive as this author is. I could go the rest of my life without hearing the words every. See, that would have helped!
Well, yeah, but that would have been too obvious for you.
This novel was 2/3 longer than it needed to be, or at least that 2/3 could have been filled with authentic description of the places main character lived, rather than the vague ones that plague the entire novel. There's nothing left to salvage this disaster. Okay, that tells me, I think again that it's Addie LaRue because she goes to different places.
If you guess right, then I guess you could also make rebuttals. Do you think that could add an interesting dynamic? Would you like to know if you're right?
Let's finish this one first, and then with the next book, we'll make a decision for the next book. Let's see. Okay. If 0 stars were an option. Oh, some people talk to hear themselves talking. Hello. Some writers write words for the sake of filling pages. Ouch. This book could have been summed up in 3 chapters. Save your time and read something else. So even with that, this person is very concise. Okay, I'm gonna switch the page.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, this. It was Teddy LaRue. No, it took me to
You must okay, if you tap on any of the blue text, it'll take you to the actual review in case you wanted to actually look at the longer
I didn't
ones.
mean to tap the blue text. I just tapped the whole page.
Okay, it was it.
Okay, so these are more 1 out of 5 stars. One just says no. So boring and predictable. Boring, slog, bad plot, characters, and writing. No depth to story, superficial at best. Pitiful attempt to be arty. Not artsy, but arty. Yeah. All right.
So with this book, I actually noticed it wasn't the only one, but it was one of the few that had a lot of bad reviews that were based on the book's condition, not the content of the...
Yeah, this damaged book was damaged. Received damage, damaged book. Good book, but came ripped. Interesting.
Yeah, so it actually had a fair amount of one-star reviews that had nothing to do with the story. It was just the product. And yes,
so I got it right.
Like on the first try.
On the first one. Okay, you know why? Because I understand people that don't like prose, and that is not me. I love flowery writing. I love the way she writes flowery. I just said that in one of the videos we made, that I like that. Also, I understand when people say it's anticlimactic because I kind of felt a little bit that way too. I did not like Henry's part in the book as much as some people did, but I respect these people's opinions on this book. I just disagree. How about that?
Okay.
I can understand why. Like they're not wrong in their opinions. It's just some people would like it and some people wouldn't. You're not looking for an epic fantasy with this. It's more of a melancholic, just kind of like just a little fairy tale of this girl.
What do you think of the English teacher comment? I thought that one was particularly interesting because it's,
That is interesting because I have had my little tiffs with my own English teachers.
I felt like you would have related.
Because a lot of times they didn't understand what I was writing. And I was like, oh, you just don't get it. Being an English teacher doesn't automatically make you a good writer or someone who understands literature. I'm not saying anything bad about this person in particular. Maybe she has great taste and she just didn't like this book. I'm trying to be very PC. In my head, I'm saying F you. Moving on.
I feel like you're gonna get all of them in the first one now.
Maybe not, I don't know. Nothing special. I really expected this to be much better. Why? I don't know. I remember reading a redacted book when I was around 12 and I remember liking it, but I also liked John Grisham when I was 12. The truth is that when compared to great writers, my mind is already filling in the word king. Is just not anywhere near the conversation. His work reeks of inauthenticity. You're better off reading Poe and Lovecraft for stories that will totally knock you out of your chair. I finally gave up around page 60. Maybe someday I will start it again, but I doubt it. I enjoyed virtually nothing about this story. It feels like author writes like he is trying to teach a creative writing class. His honky turns of phrases are extremely annoying. I still think this is king.
Okay, yes.
It's king.
Do you know which book they might be talking about?
No, not yet. This was complete disappointment. The characters were all boring, the writing style was one I could not get into, and the plot was vague and unexplained. Wow, so scary. Let's be real, this book was not scary at all. I hated all the characters. Why was character age not relatable? Ooh, age. Not relatable, too small, not realistic, so many problems. And come on, what was the weird italics and parentheses? Were they the character's thoughts or someone else talking? Or a voice in their head? Or God? Like, who the hell was it? You can't leave things up into interpretation? You can't use your goddamn imagination? Do you even have one? I'm getting mad, I'm sorry. And maybe punctuation would help a bit, don't you think? How many books have you written?
There was more than this one that commented on punctuations on this book. So I don't know what that says.
What a major disappointment. I might read other King novels to see if this was just a fluke and...
Oh, and later on in this document I tried to hide gender of the authors as well. So I did that. But
okay.
I noticed that I didn't in the first one. So.
It's okay. This was just unspeakably bad.
Wait, do you have a guess on the book?
The age gives me The Shining.
Final answer?
Not yet. Because at first I thought, okay, it might be Billy Summers. But age, not relatable, too small, not realistic. But when they're saying like, wow, so scary, not so scary.
Well, I think it's because, they think...
Is it...
They're just thinking, oh, he writes horror things and it's supposed to be scary. Like, a lot of people complained about it not being scary.
Okay, I'm thinking...
In the sense of, like, horror movie, I think. I don't know.
But The Shining was scary. I'm thinking also The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, because that is with the child, and it's not so scary, but it's scary. And also, I'm also thinking the Langoliers, because for the same reason, there's a child in there, she's blind. This was unspeakably bad. The horror reads like parody. The horror reads like parody? If I took a shot for every time King used some variation of "this is scary!" exclamations and capitalization. Punctuation is abused in every way possible. The writing is mind-numbingly repetitive, and I was forced to skim through half of it. Oh, well, maybe if you didn't skim through it, you would have liked it more. The little I admired in the characters was basically copied from their other books, but it was over fast, and thank God for that. Langoliers. I want to say it's the Langoliers because we have multiple characters. I want to say I actually do remember him using a lot of exclamation points in his like shorter stories, and it was over fast. The Langoliers is pretty short. Oh, I'm sweating. Oh, I'm so mad.
The second one, I thought it was really funny that they gave him 1 star, but it's a positive review.
Yeah, what's up with that? Okay, so the first one, stop giving this man typewriters, Jesus Christ. That's the whole thing. That's the whole review. Yeah, the second one is not a bad review, a real page turner. I just finished rereading this after many years and discovered it is still a page turner. Okay, so that tells me that it's old, so it's not Billy Summers. Couldn't put it down, a classic horror story that keeps you on edge. This book seems to be written by a 9th grader. You must know very well-written 9th graders. Terribly slow-moving and boring. How exciting is your life? Not literature. I'm sorry, sir or madam, or whoever you are, but it is, whether you like it or not.
Oh, this last one's supposed to be like, give it away.
I dismissed him as a writer. This wasn't a horror book, but the story of a man, a drunkard, his entire life put in 400 boring pages. It's not a horror story. It's the story of a man trying to fight his addiction, how he failed. This is The Shining. It's The Shining. It's not the Langoliers.
It's The Shining.
It's The Shining.
Mm-hmm. So what's up with all the punctuations everyone keeps complaining about?
He's a passionate man. What do you want? You rather he be boring and not use anything? Because he's trying to say, this is scary.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Okay, well, you have to keep in mind that he wrote this a very long time ago. And he wasn't exactly like, it's not Carrie, it wasn't his first book ever, but it was one of the first books of his that really blew up. So, like, he's been evolving.
Are you saying
it's
not as good as his recent work? His later work?
I think he's definitely gotten better as a writer. His stories have been consistently good. The creativity and originality of his stories, I believe, have been consistent. His writing style has gotten better because my mother also complains about his repetitiveness, and I get that. Sometimes he only has like one way of describing a certain thing, and he will say it the same way multiple times in the same book or multiple times throughout many books, because that's the way he describes it in his head, certain things. And I think that's fine if you're telling a good story. For him, I want to believe I'm reading King, I'm picking up his book because of the story. I'm picking up V. Schwab because of the prose, you know? I'm not gonna pick up King all the time because of his prose, because he's not known for flowery prose.
But you've complained about other books that you haven't really said anything about the story, you're just like, the way this is written is, I can't keep going. So what?
That's just because it's terribly written. He's still...
I mean, are you saying that so this is not as well written, but it's still fine to get through because the story's so good?
The Shining is not badly written. Let's get that straight. Do I think he has evolved in his writing style since then? Yes. Do I think it's badly written? No.
Do you think if someone else edited it could be better?
Maybe. I think the editor of a book says a lot about the final product. If you're a really good author, but you have a terrible editor, that's gonna take you 2 steps back.
Let's move on. Okay. Tap the screen.
1 out of 5 stars. I got 3/4 of the way through this book before I quit reading. There are 10 central characters, each of whom is presented with sketchy details that are revealed gradually over the course of the narrative. I found myself constantly looking to see how many pages I had left to slog through. Reading should engage the reader, not put him off. Great premise, one that falls apart in the storytelling. Try something else.
Yes, No, you gotta take a stab, either at the author or the book.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, come on, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see your process. You don't have to be sure about it. Like I won't tell
characters.
you. I won't say yes or no if you're not sure about it. But I think you should present hypotheses.
Shirley Jackson?
Is that your final answer?
That's the author.
Right. But is that your final?
That's not my final answer.
Well, then I won't say yes or no.
Okay. Pathetic and pitiful. As I discovered soon, detail about author and the story, a comedy, is set in place. This is difficult to decipher in my head. That must be the reason why nobody is responsible or guilty, God forbids, for anything. Everybody is an innocent, poor victim of unrealistic circumstances. Each character is extremely egocentric and dysfunctional. They are all spoiled, hyper self-centered, defiant, aggressive, and insulting. The unruly adolescents. I dropped this book at half because I could not take any more of so much dysfunctional and destructive nonsense. The problem of the author and those characters is not the system, but their own collective ideology. This gives me Gatsby vibes.
Final answer.
No, it's not my final answer. But this makes me think that they're all spoiled, hyper self-centered, defiant, aggressive, and insulting, unruly adolescents. This makes me think of all the characters in Gatsby.
Do you agree with that? You think that's true?
Oh yeah, Daisy in Gatsby is annoying. I don't like her at all.
Well, do you think that makes it a bad book?
No. I think it's a great book in its message at the end.
How do you reconcile annoying characters with a good story?
That
if they're all like that, apparently.
That it's well written and it's telling, like, why are they annoying? I don't think Gatsby is annoying. I think he's a little naive. He's very naive, actually. He's incredibly naive. A little bit of a narcissist, and he has his issues, you know. Everyone in that book, there's something wrong with them. They're not okay. All of them need help in that book. But it's written so beautifully that it's like honey in your mouth when you're reading it. It's like, oh, it just tastes so good when you're reading. It's like, what is this?
Okay, so no, not sure on author or.
I don't want to make a decision just yet.
How about this? You have to make a guess at the end of this page, like or on author or book. Which
my guess right now is Gatsby.
Okay, let's move on.
At the beginning, I thought it might be Hill House. But now I think it might be Gatsby. Okay, third one makes my head hurt. Gatsby. I am on page 90 and probably won't finish this book. The writing style of this one is frenetic. It feels like the author was writing while on massive amounts of caffeine or speed. Gatsby. They attempt to fill the page with little surprises about how people or events are connected, but in the process drives this reader quite mad. Annoying characters and style. I had high hopes for this book, but just couldn't get past how annoying and rude the characters are. I made it halfway through and returned the title. This is only the third time in my life that I've started a book and didn't finish. I usually stick it out even if I don't like the book. Plot detail made me decide that I just didn't care about the characters and couldn't take how disrespectful and annoying they were. I normally like satirical, snarky humor, but this book was annoying as opposed to funny. And yes, I have repeated the word annoying multiple times in this review, but that is because it is the best adjective to describe this book. All roads lead to Gatsby, but I'm not sure.
You gotta make a
Rhodes and Gatsby, they don't mix. You wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but you do. Snarky humor. I want to say it's Gatsby. Oh, am I wrong?
Strike one.
No!
You're doing pretty good so far. I got 2
out of 3. Okay, let's look at the small ones. I could not get into this book at all. I kept picking it up thinking it would get better, but it never did. Stupid. It's annoying. The people are too stupid to hold the jobs they have. I'm not sure where the guy went after he shot himself and why there wasn't a trail of blood leading the cops to him. And then I didn't care. The worst, very surprised the book got published. Wish I could get the time back that I wasted on reading this book. Oh! No.
Wait, did that click something?
No, because that was on the list of books I hated. I was gonna say you.
That's just how you feel.
Yeah. Because I want the time back that I spent reading that one. Insulted my intelligence. Maybe as a sitcom, with the perfect actors, this would be good, but for a book, it did not work for me. I found all the characters to be ridiculous. The whole idea was too unbelievable, and every character to be so dysfunctional. Huh?
You missed one.
Oh, I did?
One long
dad joke. Oh my god.
That
Which
one's
one?
really insensitive to me.
Was this Anxious People?
Is that your final?
No, I don't have a final answer for this one. I'm stumped.
Okay, let's keep going, and then you gotta guess at the end.
I quit reading this book halfway through it. I have too many books waiting to be read. Couldn't waste my time on this trivial writing. I do not understand the hype it got. I want to say Anxious People? I want to say Anxious People because a lot of people are saying that they're annoying. Ooh, this is Anxious People. This is Anxious People.
Final answer?
I think so, yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes, yes. You know why? Okay. So Emmy is currently reading this still. She said a lot of these things, and I don't know why I didn't pick up on that.
I think it's because you enjoyed it so much.
But I understand that the people were very self-centered, very annoying, and they came off a certain way, and you have to remember that the book was translated.
Yeah.
I think that has a lot to do with it. When people say that it was like the way it was written was like poorly written, I think it was poorly translated.
Some people were saying that it was supposed to be a Swedish comedy.
Yes.
And that there's no humor in this.
Yes.
The Swedish ones have really weird humor.
Yes. So I got that as well while reading it. I was like, was that supposed to be funny? But it hit me in a different way than that.
Yeah, when you described the book to me, it didn't sound like a comedy at all.
No, but it does come off as like, the banter is very strange. It's not something that you would see in an American sitcom. It's not something that you would see in an American book. It's very different. And I can see why some people would think that's annoying because it does come off as they're like really putting down something that should be more high stakes. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it even after getting through that part where I had to plow through knowing that this is from someone's perspective that is not from here. You need to like keep that in mind and then also remember that it was translated. You have to do that when reading Murakami too, because sometimes his elements of his sex scenes and stuff, it's like, this is not normal here. This is Anxious People. Should I keep reading the bad reviews? Okay. I think this might be my least favorite book I've ever read. I know reviews are super high for this one, but I honestly think I'd rather get a root canal than have to reread this one. I only finished so I could rate it. I've had a root canal. I'd rather read any book, no matter how bad, than do that again. So we clearly have different priorities. Again, I can respect someone disliking the book for these reasons. It's just, I think maybe if they gave it another chance, knowing that now, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. Because, you know, you're going into a book thinking it's hyped for a reason. You want to see what the hype is about, and then you don't get to it for a while. I get being disappointed in that.
I think there was a clear, I don't know if pattern's the right word, but a clear distinction of people that related and people that didn't.
Yeah. You also have to consider, like, mental health is like its own huge character in this book. So if you don't understand that, and if you've never been through that before, then you might not understand the characters.
Yeah, people that didn't relate to that aspect.
Yeah. I mean, there's a character in the book named Nadia. I was literally in the book. Last one, each character in the book is a combination of sappy, millennial tropes made incarnate. The only way that the plot works is because everyone acts in the exact opposite way the human beings are supposed to. That's just, cultural ignorance, I would say. They're acting in a way that you wouldn't. Not that a human being isn't supposed to, because I actually think they acted in a way that human beings would, because they were very compassionate at the end. Everyone was full of human compassion. The whole point of it was to be good to people because you don't know what they're going through. That's the whole point of the book. Like, my takeaway is be compassionate as much as you can. Even to complete strangers, even to someone holding you hostage. Just be compassionate. That's what I got from the book.
Another complaint that, like, one of the reviews mentioned, but
I'm getting really hot.
there were a few people that mentioned that the circumstances of the characters were like terribly unrealistic. Like, that they were put in these insufferable circumstances that no other human would ever have to go through.
It was an apartment viewing, and that they get held hostage in an apartment viewing by a person that just robbed a bank, stumbled into this apartment viewing, and was like, oh, I'm gonna hold you guys hostage.
I mean, that seems pretty uncommon, at least.
Well, do you want to read a book about commonality? No.
That's true.
Are fairies common in day-to-day life? No. Why are you reading? Why are you reading a fiction book if you're not expected to be in an unexpected circumstance?
I'd say fair enough to that.
Okay, so I'm not ravaging mad yet.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're very civil so far. Well, we have 2 more to go. Okay. I mean, so far we've gotten all of them within the first 2 tries.
Yeah, I mean, my first guess for this one was wrong, but I got it after a minute.
You know what? We're gonna say that you only get one try, just so that just to make this not seem like you got all of them.
Why? What if I did get all of them? So what if I did?
We'll keep it to 2 tries. How about that?
Next book. This is quite easily the worst author book I've ever read. It drags on and on and on, and then when she can't think of a way to drag the story out any further, they shift gears to a completely different plot that drags on and on and on until eventually the end of the book is like a completely different novel than the one you started reading. This has to be Murakami.
Interesting. Is that a final guess? Are you reading the next one?
I am.
Well, that's cheating.
I know, I'm cheating. Okay, no, that's not my final answer yet. Okay. This was extremely disappointing. Ooh. I could only make it halfway before finally giving up. That says more about you than it does about the book, doesn't it? If this would have been a short story, it would have been great. Murakami. But I just said, like, he needs to be appreciated in long form rather than short.
That's what I was saying
short
too.
stories, okay. Long, drawn out, and the references to people are getting old. Next review. This is a bad book. The start and finish are okay, but the middle is more unrealistic than any monster story he's ever dreamed of. Ooh, but the greatest sin is the dialogue. Every single character speaks like a boomer, from the 21-year-old to the 40-something to the actual boomers. People under 60 in modern set stories don't make references to long-dead comedians from the radio era. This is not Murakami.
I thought that one would give it away pretty easily, to be honest. So have one more before you have to make a guess.
I really struggled with this book. I truly gave it my all. I read the first handful of chapters over the course of I don't know how many days, and it was mind-numbingly dull. I decided to switch to the audiobook to see if that would help. Spoiler alert, it did not. I persevered despite my extreme level of boredom for 10 very long, very slow hours at 60% of the way through with 7 hours left to suffer through. I had to put myself first and call it quits. This is honestly one of the most tedious books I've ever read. The plot dragged on, and then switched to another plot that dragged on and on. Ooh!
We need a guess.
I think this is 1Q84.
Is that your final answer?
Because at 60% you still have 7 hours left? That was a long book.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting detail to catch on to.
Because I listened to the audiobook of 1Q84, and it was really long. I dragged it out for like a whole month because I just read it slowly. But I wanna say it's 1Q84.
Final answer?
I think so.
No!
Damn.
You started off so strong. I thought I made it way too easy for you.
Oh no!
Did you do it wrong?
This is Stephen King.
How do you know?
Because you didn't redact a name. I went to the short ones.
It didn't?
Yeah, this book sucks. This is a big disappointment. The
Oh,
repetition
okay,
and
I see it.
explaining of things as though his dear reader is an idiot is sad. See, I would have gotten that, dear reader, right off the bat that it was King, because he's the only one that says dear reader. Okay. Lately, his work, like this book, is subpar. This one was the worst yet. Is this Billy Summers?
Is that a final guess?
I can't remember a radio host.
Well, maybe you just didn't get the reference.
Maybe, because I'm not a boomer. See, when they said boomer, I was like, oh, this could be King. But then
I feel like you've made that comment before that,
King
that
is
his
such
dialogue
he's
is
very
old-timey.
boomer. Yes,
Yeah.
very, very boomer.
So
But,
I thought that would give it away.
but he's a very liberal boomer. He's maybe an extreme left boomer. Terrible. Where did King go? The book started good but ended somewhere in the dump. Not good at all. Excuse me? Boring, just rambles on and on. King has lost whatever talent he... Okay. Calm down, okay? Calm down.
Oh, you just read the next
Calm
sentence.
down.
Read the next sentence.
Don't be rude.
Read the next sentence.
I don't want to, I'm scared. King has lost whatever talent he may have had at one time. Maybe it's time to just call it a career. Save your time and money on this one, folks. Again, I'd like to ask, how many books have you written? Is it maybe 60 plus? Over the span of, 40 years? Most of them bestsellers? I don't think so. No one can say anything to King, okay? He's the literal king. Chocolate cake. He is cake. He is king. Shut up! Unreadable. It is written in the first person present tense. It's like listening to a teenage girl babbling on about nonsense. Okay, I will say I hate books that are written in present tense. I hate that. It makes me feel like I'm reading a book. You know how like some shots in a movie are like, oh, I'm watching a movie. Or like when they say that the dialogue that it's like, we need to get a bigger boat. Like the things that they say things like that make you think, oh, I'm watching a movie, right?
Okay.
I hate books that are written in present tense because it makes me feel like I'm reading a book. If that makes sense. I can't remember if Philly Summers was written in present tense. Seem like two distinct stories. The first half was worse than awful. Worse than awful. Huh. I only continued to read because it was too late for a refund. When is it too late for a refund? You can even return books on Audible, like after you finish them. You have a year to return them.
I think this is from Goodreads, so I don't know how they got it.
The plot plodded along and along and along. The second half was a pretty good story. The slog to the second half was too long and, all caps, boring. Worst King novel ever published. Does King feel extreme guilt about wasting the time and money of his reader? Probably not. I don't think he feels bad about anything he puts out anymore because he doesn't have to.
That doesn't sound like a good defense. That sounds like complacency.
So, okay, I feel like he may feel like that because of the way I felt about Later. I felt like Later was
like
him just saying like, you'll read anything I publish anyway, so
like
here
some
you
of the
go.
complaints
Here's some
here
scraps.
resonated with some of the things you said about Later.
Billy Summers was good.
Is that final answer?
Yes.
Ding 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 ding.
This is more stressful than I thought just because I want to get it right. Billy Summers, everyone. It's right here.
There were a
Look at
lot of complaints of his references to Trump. Like, I would say half the reviews mentioned that.
I will say, I don't think authors should impose, or you know what, maybe they should. I'm not gonna tell them what to do. But I just feel like that'll take a reader out of the story if you like impose your political views into the story, and he very clearly did that in this one specifically.
And I mean, yeah, a lot of the complaints were that it was so much as well. Like, it wasn't just that he did it, it was like he did it so much.
Yes. I even, in my review, I said that he does that. He also references like people. Like he makes an idiot character. He names him Paul Logan. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. Maybe he doesn't even know who he's talking about and he just named him. You know, I don't know. Unless you're writing something that has to do with politics. And I guess this not really though. Not really. He was an assassin. I don't know. Unless your story is clearly about politics, you should maybe not put that in the story because, you know, people don't want to think about that when they're reading. Right? Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was funny. I know his viewpoints because he's very vocal about it on Twitter and in interviews and stuff. He very, very much does not like Trump. And I knew that going in. So reading that, I was like, oh, this is no surprise. But anyway, moving on. Last one?
Last one.
Last one. Okay. First review. Am I living in an alternate universe? WTF! Exclamation point, question mark, @ question mark, exclamation point. With this book, question mark. Why do so many people love it? I'm sorry, I just don't get it. This was my third and final try with this author, and I will never read anything by them again. I find them incredibly insincere, and their I'm subtle and sensitive but really melodramatic style highly perturbing. Her desperate need to write pretty and her constant use of poetic contradictions is totally pukey. You couldn't come up with a better analogy than totally pukey.
Straight to the point. It's not flowery.
It's pukey. I prefer flowery over pukey any day. They take themselves so seriously, work so hard to be deep. It's like bad episodes of Law and Order. Are there any bad episodes of Law and Order? I'm kidding. Yes, there are. Okay. They're trying to enlighten their reader, and I resent them for it. Pretentious. I'm done. I'm done reading your review. Jeez, someone is... I was gonna say people take it too seriously, but I get personally offended when I don't like a book. But when do I not like a book? You have my list of the books I don't like. It's pretty short.
Yeah.
At the top is just you and From Blood and Ash. Like those are the two main ones that I read, and I was like, I need my time back.
Would you like to gander a guess?
Well, you forgot to take one out, and it was her.
They mentioned it so many times.
So
just pretend I didn't.
Female author. If it's Sarah J. Maas.
Huh? Gender's not real.
That's true. Gender is a social construct. Same with money. Is it all of ACOTAR? Second review. Man, what a mistake. This book is stupid. The author is stupid. The people in the book are stupid. The plot is ludicrous and stupid. Everything is stupid. I hated the narrative. The flashbacks were confusing. The present day was left so unexplained to add mystery that it just annoyed the F out of me. Explain what's happening, please, so I can, like, follow along. And don't ever, ever play with my emotions like that and not give me an ending. I agree with previous reviewers. The author was just effing with our heads and is having a good laugh right now. None of this is relevant. I mean, the plot was so non-existent that it wasn't even really a story. It was just some ramblings written down by a crazy woman with some sex in the middle. This is ACOTAR. Yay, what fun. I wouldn't suggest this one if you're looking for something decent to read. Calm down.
Yeah, the reviews for this one were heated. Like, all of them were pretty heated.
I don't know. I
like struggled to put more than 2 on the page because they were all so long and heated.
We already did Addie LaRue because I can see. I can see.
Ooh, would that be interesting if I just doubled up on one of them?
No, don't do that. No, don't do that.
Make it interesting.
Well, when I see with some sex in the middle, I think ACOTAR. Book 1. But there are no flashbacks, per se. Are there? Flashbacks? Flashbacks. Trying to go through my filing cabinet. I can't. I want to say it's ACOTAR. Okay, first guess, because I get 2 guesses, right? First guess is ACOTAR.
You're gonna move on to the next reviews. Unless you want to make one just from this page.
This book is about observations, a lot of really boring observations. Sorry, I was so not into this one. I felt manipulated by cheap theatrics. Also, it was not very well written. I was looking for something much more profound. Sorry, author, run on. Fancy, comma-ridden, elegantly poetic prose simply doesn't work for me. I felt like I was reading something for English class. I'm moving on to something entertaining. Ooh. This book is tossed on the pile with Wicked. Another absolute pile of garbage. How dare you?
And you know, get you. It's like, ooh, double whammy. So until you realize what they're talking about.
I'll be in my trailer. I don't like this. Absolute pile of garbage. I bet you liked From Blood and Ash, didn't you?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. We'll go on her profile after and find out.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that I kind of like, that you didn't put any profile names or anything, and I don't want to call people out. Like, I don't want to attack people, but
they're public, you know. We should click on her to see. A lot of these were women.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. But we should click on her to see what else she liked, you know.
Yeah. This one reads, nope. I kept waiting for a storyline to appear. I got so tired of all the detail and everything, but the storyline, I was so disappointed. Okay. Great read, not for me. Cannot figure out why this book is liked by anyone. I found it to be lame and written at junior high level.
Which is different from what the other person was saying.
Next, mundane. I know this book is super popular, but obviously I missed the point. Obviously you did. I rarely hate a book, but this one I just didn't like. I had very high expectations, I suppose. I felt that the main character was bland, her relationships were dull, and I just never developed a feel for her or her thoughts and actions about her position. Maybe that is where I missed the point.
That one's supposed to be a little hint. The last one's a little hint as well. But...
Sexual, disgusting, waste of money. Graphic, sexual, disgusting. So we get it. You're old. Do not waste your time reading this written pornography. Why? That's what we're here for. My son was supposed to read it for his college. What did I say? I was gonna say you're clearly a parent. Yes, when I said you're old, I was gonna say you're a mom, but I didn't want to go straight for that. But my instinct was to say, oh, you're clearly a mom, because only a mom would say this.
Yeah.
My mom wouldn't. My mom would be like, that was fun. My son was supposed to read this for his college class. Cut the cord, lady, okay? I took a peruse through it and explained what I found to him, and he went to the professor and asked for another option. Thankfully, he was given another book choice. No one should have to read this garbage. Literature? I think not. Wait a minute, is this Clockwork Orange?
Is that a final answer?
No, because Clockwork Orange was not written by a woman. But I thought that because I remember when my sister had to read Clockwork Orange in her college course, I read it with her, and I was in junior high. And my mom also read it, like we all read it together, and my mom ripped it out of my hands, not my sister's hands. And she was like, "You can't read this. This is too much for you." And then I secretly read it after, kind of stole the book from my sister's bedroom, and I read it and I was like, oh, I shouldn't have read that. I think she was right, I wasn't ready for that. Yeah, that was a lot. It's sitting right here. That same copy is the one I have here. So it can't be that. Sexual. Reading it for a college course.
I thought you have an easier time with this one.
Yeah, why is this one so difficult? It's a woman, sex,
I think that's what's throwing me off a little bit.
woman, sex, college course.
What's up?
Handmaid's Tale.
Is that finally?
Yes.
You got it.
Yeah! Yes! What do I get? Handmaid's Tale. This was difficult. This one was difficult.
I'm surprised.
This one was difficult.
I thought that one would have been easy.
So you guys just clearly didn't get it. So no one, you know what? No, that hurt my leg. I think everyone was wrong in that one. I'm angry about that one. All of you, wrong. Go watch the show. Also, you don't want your son to read that? I think your son should study that book. Study it and then read the second one.
There were a few people that said that the book was bad, but the show was good. I wanted to put those in, but I was like, that's way too much of a giveaway.
Fine. You have that opinion? Fine. I disagree, but fine. I think this is one very rare occasion where the book and the show do each other justice. Like, that is what you get out of the book and out of the show. The show took the book and turned it into something completely more. The book was like, here's a little map, and this is a presented world. Go with it. And the show was like, thank you, and started running. And I like where they're going. It's going. It's on my mind a lot. I can't wait for the next season. They took that one book and thought, okay, what can we do with these characters after the first season? Because the first season ends at the end of the first book when she's taken, and you don't know what's gonna happen to her. And then season 2, episode 1, where the writers of the show took over with the help of Margaret Atwood. And you can't say anything against Margaret Atwood. I'm sorry, excuse me. Be quiet. That's what I think. Be quiet.
What did you think of the couple people complaining about the writing style? 2 comments that were like, that's like badly written.
I disagree. Just because someone is writing it in a way that you wouldn't doesn't mean that it's badly written.
Let me tell you, the mom, the angry mom. Let me tell you her favorite books, okay?
Please do. Go ahead.
I don't know if these are in particular order. Does it appear in order in Goodreads?
I think in order of reading them.
World War Z?
No, World War Z, I have it here. Never finished it. Couldn't stand it. Keep going.
Firestarter by Stephen King.
Okay, that's fine. It's not one of his greatest ones.
Skeleton Crew by
Stephen King. Okay.
Fantasy Lover by Shirley
Jackson?
No, Shirley Kenyon.
I don't know that one.
You Slay by Me by Katie McAllister.
Katie McAllister?
The Whipping Boy.
Okay.
By Sid something.
Okay.
The Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
Green Eggs and Ham.
I mean, she's a mom. That's a classic. I love it too.
Dark Fever by Karen Mooney. Night by Ellie Weiss. Wow, names are just difficult. And The Joy of Cooking by Irma Ronsberger.
I don't want to say bad things about people, okay? I mean, we have a few overlaps in there with Stephen King, so that's fine. The first one being World War Z, that's just funny because I could not with that one. I could not. I just feel like you need to cut the cord, and if your son is reading that for a college course, there's a reason. I even said in my review of The Handmaid's Tale that this should be taught in a college course. Not high school, not elementary school, not middle school, nothing like that. In a college course, this needs to be taught because this is one of the scariest books I've ever read in its possibility of a dystopian reality. So, I think everyone should read that as a warning. Because specifically, Margaret Atwood said, I did not put anything in this book that didn't already happen in history. So, if you don't want history to repeat itself, education is the answer. And that's what I have to say about that. I'm sweating. Also, my ears are popping as if I'm in a plane. Can I have some water, please? Thank you.
Well, we've been recording for an hour.
Oh, have we? Oh, yeah. This is gonna be very fun to edit. I just want to say that I got them all right. Not on the first try, But I did get them all right eventually, so.
If we only count the first try, you actually get 2 out of 5 right.
But we're not counting just the first try. We're counting it
If
before.
hold on. If we're only counting.
We're counting it before I did the reveal of the cover.
So unlimited tries.
Let's wrap this up, please. I just want to say I respect all of your opinions, you people out there in the world, but sometimes you're just wrong. So, did anyone dissuade me from my viewpoints on all of these books or any of them? No. I knew they wouldn't, and they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't super well constructed arguments. I'm sure
Yeah.
there's some reviews out there like that, but that wasn't really the point.
Yeah.
Then,
I don't think any of them were argumentative in
Right.
that they were trying to make anyone who did like them dislike them. They were just presenting their opinions, which is fine, but yep. I think next time we do this, you need to be sitting next to me. Or there needs to be a camera on you, because don't you think? Don't you think? You watching, don't you think? Don't you want to see him? All right, that's all I have for you all, dear viewers. That was fun. I'm not upset or agitated at all. I am perfectly calm. Be sure to like this video if you liked it and subscribe. Also, please comment down below if you agree with anything I said, because I'd like to know if I'm not alone in my opinions. Today was a very interesting therapy exercise. So, I need to be in a room by myself for a while now. Today's shout out goes to Nathaniel Luscombe. With Bestie from the North as our mutual friend, I already know our viewpoints align perhaps more so than the individuals featured in today's video. Thank you for your comments, your support, and your engagement both here and on Instagram. I have also taken your advice and removed the boxes from my box sets, since we all know I am just not patient enough for them. All right, I'm off to go hunt down all of these reviews and give them a thumbs down just for the tiniest smidgen of gratitude that will likely not even give me, because honestly, who cares? Who cares? I don't care. You think I care? I don't care. I care. Stay lost, keep reading, and you know what? Read whatever you want. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Aggressive goodbye. Cheers.